forget to do the beer.
Hey, sports fans, PBNZ Sports Chaos. Happy New Year. Look who's back from Chile with a nice homegrown beer from Chile, right?
Yeah. I brought this back with me. A gentleman that's a real good friend of Valeska's that owns of all things, a bee farm. So he raises bees. He does all this homemade honey. So wouldn't it be nice if he made a honey beer? And yes, he has. So there it is. Miel in Spanish means honey, so it's a honey bear. I didn't even have one while I was down there, but I brought one home. So I'm going to open it and taste it for the first time. By the way, you can follow this guy on Instagram.
Okay.
And it's Beehappypatagonia. He lives down in the south of Chile. So it's Beehappypatagonia, and the bee is spelled B-E-E, like a bee.
Yeah, like a bee.
Like a honeybee. So here it is. Let me.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell it's natural. You can see stuff floating around in here. Good stuff. I have no idea what the alcohol content is, so we'll find out later on the show.
All right, man. Hey, let's talk. College football was looking like a dud for some of these bowl games this year. And then all of a sudden, starting Wednesday night, we had an epic 3 overtime game. G-Money and I talked about that. Arkansas came back to beat Kansas. Then Friday night, we had a great Gator Bowl. Notre Dame holds off South Carolina. Sun Bowl, Pittsburgh beats UCLA. And what I think was the upset of the season so far, UCLA was a 7.5-point favorite, and I think it went down to 5.5. Never saw that coming. But all bets are off after what we saw finally in the college football playoffs. After 9 years of this stuff, we finally get a great semifinal weekend. I mean, we had one once when Georgia played Oklahoma, and they went to overtime as well. That was an epic game, but that was only one game that was epic. Both these games last night. I mean, the first game, TCU, Michigan, that was probably the biggest upset. 7.5 points. I did take TCU, but not to win, just to cover the spread. And they played lights out. Max Duggan, who you know I love, PB, was incredible. Just led that team. Jim Harbaugh's in trouble. He's now 1-7 coaching bowl games, including 0 in his last 6. I know he's beat Ohio State twice, but you were favored to win that game, Harbaugh, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, they're getting to these big bowls, right? So yeah. I remember back in the day, when we used to go to the BC games, BC had won like 8 or 9, 10 bowls in a row or something like that, but they were going to crappy bowls. So here's Michigan now that they're a really good team. They're potential CFP team every year. So they're playing in big bowls now, which kind of makes a difference. So you got to cut them a little bit of slack there. I know you got to win it all to be, to get that status, if you will, but he still runs a good program there.
51-45, second highest CFP game ever to that Rose Bowl I talked about with Georgia and Oklahoma. And then after that game was unbelievable, we got the epic game with Ohio State and Georgia. Ohio State, another Big Ten team, looked like they were going to run away with this thing. They were up by 14 with about 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Georgia comes rolling back to take the lead. Ohio State had a chance to win it. They get the ball back with 50 seconds left on that. After that touchdown, they go right down the field for a field goal attempt wide left. But that was an unbelievable finish. I'm actually watching the finish again right now as I'm sitting here because I was kind of dozy when I watched it last night. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah, I mean, 2 very high-scoring games, not a lot of defense. But you know what? They were fun games to watch. I didn't get to see really much of the first one because I was flying back from Chile, but I did dive into that second game. And man, Ohio State was starting off strong, but Georgia just kept answering. And you felt those momentum shifts, throughout the game. It was a very momentum type of game, right? You feel one team gets momentum, and then it kind of shifted. There were key plays that made that happen. It was a fun game to watch, for sure.
For sure. All right, let's talk NFL. It's NFL Sunday today. As I said the other day with G-Money, I don't like the fact that the college teams have been pushed off the New Year's Day for the NFL. I get it, but it's still a day of college football in my mind. But anyways, we got lots to talk about. But I got to talk about a couple things from last week. I know you were in Chile. You probably didn't see much. The Pats should have beat Cincinnati. They were getting manhandled in the first half. I called them a JV team in the first half on Twitter. Then they came back. They held Cincinnati scoreless, had a chance to win again, second week in a row, and they fumbled at the 8-yard line. Ramonde, again, I feel bad for the kid because he played a hell of a game. They end up losing that game based on that fumble at the 8-yard line. Tough. The other game featuring your AFC favorite, the Miami Dolphins, they lost in the pick of the year by Z, Green Bay, over the Dolphins down there in Miami. Keeps Green Bay alive at this point in time, right? They need one of two things to happen: either New York Giants to get swept in their last two, or Washington lose one of two, and I think that could happen today. And of course, the Green Bay has to win both games. But I'll tell you, the game, PB, that was the big one was Saturday night. This is the unfortunate part of picking our game on Tuesday last week, because if we picked it on Wednesday, I would not have picked Vegas after Franco Harris died. There was no way the Steelers were going to lose that game. Really emotional game. And sure enough, the Steelers ended up winning that game in true Pittsburgh 70s Steeler type football. Hard hitting, low scoring game. Love the action in that game, even though it was low scoring. They did it for Franco. It was an awesome sight, that's for sure. But you know what? The shocker, I thought last week, after that game, Derek Carr is benched for the rest of the year.
Right? For Jason Stidham.
Yes.
Of all people, right?
Jared Stidham, I think it is.
Jared Stidham.
Yeah, you know what? Josh McDaniels is done. He'll never be a head coach in this league again.
No, I mean, we've talked about him running that franchise into the ground, and he's doing the same thing with them that he did with Denver. I don't think he'll make it through. How many? I mean, next Sunday is the final week of the season. What's the under/over on the number of days between next Sunday and when he gets fired?
I wonder if they'll pull a Denver Bronco and just fire him, after this game this weekend. Who knows? Nathaniel, whatever, it's a Hackett, another guy that he'll never coach again either.
Yeah. Oh no, not after that. The talented team that he was handed, especially on defense, and then having Russell Wilson as your big acquisition in the offseason and not being able to win game. I mean, that he ran that play. He ran that franchise into the ground too.
Russell Wilson. I mean, it was all the talk this past week on all the ESPN shows and stuff. Can he ever be saved? Is he done? Is he cooked? Is Russ no longer going to be the cook, right? I don't know. He doesn't look good though, right?
No, and I think he could be a backup next year. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I can probably name a half dozen off the top of my head backup quarterbacks that I'd rather have starting my team than Russell Wilson.
A half dozen?
And Cooper Rush being one of them, by the way.
Wow. You know what? I got to see him with a different offense and a different coach. We'll see. Who knows? Let's talk about this week. We got all these games. We're going to pick 6 games as we always do in our pick 6. All of them have playoff implications. We're going to start with the New England Patriots hosting the Miami Dolphins, what is no longer a weather-impacting game. I'm looking outside my window right now. It's sunny. It's 54 degrees in Foxborough this afternoon. This is not going to be a home game for the Patriots, in my opinion. And last week they had like 20,000 empty seats on the Christmas Eve game. I can't imagine this place is going to be sold out today or full. It might be sold out, but it's not going to be full. What do you think?
Yeah,
and Teddy Bridgewater is playing quarterback, so that's the only thing that gives me some type of feeling here that they can win.
Yeah, and you know what? We said 9-8 is probably not going to do it for you this year in the AFC, and here we are in a situation where the Patriots run the table and go 9-8. They're in the playoffs. They control their own destiny. They control their own destiny after blowing 2 games.
Yep,
which is still kind of amazing, right? Imagine if they just won one of those 2 games. They'd be in a much better position right now. They could probably clinch this weekend if they had won one or both of those games. And Miami's lost 4 in a row. They're a talented football team. They have talent on the field. -2 though is a factor. But I'm really disappointed in the way this team is running their offense. I just am. I'm just not satisfied with it. Patricia needs to go.
Oh, God, yeah.
The play calling's not good. They don't have any offensive weapons outside of Ramondre, in my opinion. And Miami's the more talented football team. That's what it comes down to. I think they'll get after Mac Jones. I think they'll play decent defense, probably hold the Patriots to 17 to 20 points. And I think Miami can put up 24 to 27 points. So I originally I was thinking Patriots because of the fact they're still in the playoffs. But at the same time, Miami has to win this to secure their playoff spot as well. I'm taking the Dolphins. As much as I don't want to, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm using my head and going to stick with the Dolphins.
I was going to take the Dolphins myself using my heart because I hate this Patriots offense and I hate the way they're going. But I believe the New England defense with Teddy Bridgewater playing for the Dolphins is going to be too much for Bridgewater to overcome. I think they find a way to stop Hill and stop Jalen Waddle with Teddy Bridgewater trying to throw the ball to him. I don't think he does a very good job at it, given the fact that he hasn't played much at all. And to your point, it's only going to take 17 points. I think this is a 17-14 game. Pats win.
Okay.
I know G Money likes to pass as well, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I have the Patriots scoring 17 in this game. That's a number I think is great. The question is, can Miami score more than that? And you were both saying they can't, and I'm saying that they can. So that's the difference right there. So it's really coming down to the Patriots defense, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's all it's all about. And run the ball. Don't let Mac throw it. All right. Another expatriate we're going to talk about here because he's in a precarious position. Our boy, Tommy, what's going on? This has not been a good year for you. I think it's over after this year, but you got one last chance. He hosts the Carolina Panthers today. If he wins, he's in, right? By the way, if Carolina wins, they could win the NFC South next weekend, right?
That would be crazy. I'll never forget when I was watching Good Morning Football, which I love on NFL Network. Kyle Brandt actually picked the Panthers to win that division, and I'm like, "What is he crazy?" Obviously not, because here he is in a situation now where that could actually come true. But I think the Bucs win this game though. I'm taking Tom Brady. It's at home. It's to secure that division. And, if this team can get healthy and play some defense, I wouldn't want to play them. I wouldn't want to play Tom Brady in a playoff game. So especially at home, because they're going to get their first game at home, right?
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Bucs.
I'll say something I'm nervous about. Carolina ran for, what was it, 320 yards last week, something like that, 350. I forget what it was, some epic number. And that's the Tampa Bay weakness. You can run the ball on them. So little concern. I am going to go Tampa Bay as well. I think he figures a way to make it happen one more time. One more playoff appearance for him, his 14th in a row. So I got Tampa Bay as well. I know G Money, he loves TB12. He's got the Tampa Bay Bucks as well, right?
All right, yeah.
Here's another one with playoff implications for one team anyways. Cleveland goes to Washington. Your favorite quarterback is back starting for the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz is back in the saddle. Washington, if they lose this game, they help Green Bay out. If Green Bay runs the table, we'll do that one next. What do you think?
Yeah, Washington's been showing me a little bit on defense, so I think they can keep Cleveland at bay. I was going back and forth on this one, but you can still win this game. They've been running the ball effectively. Washington has. You still got McLaren on the outside. You got Jahan Dotson, who's been doing some good things as of late. I think.
But PB, look who's throwing those guys the ball. Your favorite quarterback.
I know. And I'm not expecting a big game, but you know what? I can see Washington keeping Cleveland down too. So this is another game that you could be, a 17-14, 13-9 kind of game, but I see Washington coming out on top. I'm going to stick with the Commanders.
By the way, the guy on the other side of the ball needs to have a game. I mean, he gets a $230 million contract after he, domestically sexually abuses 28 women. He needs this game, right? So I think in this particular case, by the way, I think Cleveland has a better run game. I'm going with Cleveland in the upset here and puts the Commanders in jeopardy of making the playoffs.
Good one. It's a good pick.
All right. Minnesota goes to Green Bay. Again, another game the weather's not going to be a factor. It's 50 degrees in Green Bay today. I was looking forward to be a frozen tundra game. Minnesota, who plays inside, they would have been like timid to play in this game, and yet the weather's going to be a non-factor. But Aaron Rodgers is starting to play a little bit like Aaron Rodgers used to play. What do you think?
Yeah, and Dylan's just coming on really strong as of late, the last 4 or 5 games. Same thing he did last year down the stretch. And they need the game. They got to win. Like you said, they got to win out, and they need a little bit of help. It starts with this game in Green Bay. Next week, they go they're also at home against Detroit. So they got a nice schedule here to finish off the season, 2 divisional opponents. I wouldn't be surprised if this team sneaks into the playoffs and grabs that 7 seed. There's a very good chance this could happen, and Aaron Rodgers is going to shut a lot of people up.
Oh my God, me being one of them. I was hoping he was done. So I got Green Bay as well. I think they win this game for sure. And by the way, the only reason why I think Minnesota, and you love their offense. I think of one game this year, and that was the game that Minnesota got absolutely croaked by the Cowboys. And that's what gives me life. Green Bay is a similar team to the Cowboys, in my opinion, on defense. So I think Green Bay wins this game.
All right, we both got Packers.
All right, and G Money has.
I think he's got the Packers as well.
He does as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Another game with playoff implications that none of us saw at the beginning of the year. Geno Smith against Mike White. One of these two guys is going to go to the playoffs if they win this week, right?
That's crazy. Who would have thought? It's in Seattle. Jets have been just playing really, really poorly lately. I think they're dancing their way right out of the playoffs. And you know, the interesting thing about this game is if Seattle does beat the Jets, if the Patriots win today, they could actually lose next week to Buffalo and still get in.
Yeah.
So that would be even. That means they could get in with an 8-9 record.
Every one of these games we picked have little twists and plots that affect other games in the playoffs besides their own game, right?
Right, exactly. And I just don't think the Jets got it. They're a team that's going downhill. Seattle's fighting for that spot as well. If they were out of it, then I might lean more towards the Jets. But the fact that they're right in the mix as well, I got to take that the 12th man in Seattle.
In Seattle, I'm with you. Hey, by the way, if Seattle wins this game and does make the playoffs, if they do make the playoffs, I think Pete Carroll's the coach of the year.
That's interesting.
I know everybody had Brian Daboll, and he still might get it, but no one saw Seattle after they traded Russ away. No one saw them coming on and being a playoff team. So,
yeah. And you know what? And you know what? One of these teams could be the team that goes in and plays like a Minnesota, let's say, for instance, in the first round. They could they could go in and upset a Minnesota at home, you know?
Yeah, for sure. All right, here's a game that's going to have huge implications. Home field advantage. Who's the favorite in the AFC? Bills go to the Bengals on Monday Night Football. Conference championship showdown, I think, for sure. I think Cincinnati's getting very, very cocky. I know they're on a 7-game winning streak. They should have lost to the Patriots last week. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
But I think the Bengals end up pulling this game out.
Yeah. And if you're a Patriots fan, you're rooting for the Bills for sure. Because if the Bills win this week and Kansas City somehow loses to Denver, which the chances of that are very slim, but if it does happen, guess what? Buffalo is playing for nothing next week. They have the number one seed locked up. So that bodes well for the Patriots to
Good point.
win next week. So, but I said you'd be rooting for the Bills, but you'll know the outcome of the Chiefs game today because the Bills don't play till tomorrow night. So
sure,
right. We'll see. So we're also rooting for the Broncos today too as well.
But by the way, the Bengals win this game. Bills and Bengals are now tied for the home field advantage.
Yeah, I don't know who has the tiebreaker right now in that scenario, but obviously you still got to play next week, and it could go either way, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Bills, though. I know you like the Bengals in this one. The Bills have showed me that they can win on the road.
I don't like the Bengals. I'm picking them only because I think that at home they're going to win this game. But no, I don't. I personally, I think they're too cocky at the moment.
Okay, all right.
But I'm picking them to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow for me in this game, and I think Josh Allen is a money quarterback. Joe Burrow is getting money quarterback status. I think he's starting to move up that chain.
Yeah.
But to me, Josh Allen, the way he runs the ball, Josh.
That's the difference. If Josh runs the ball well, then they probably win. But if they can contain him from running the ball, Joe's a better passer, without a doubt. He's not even in the same category as a passer. Burrows and against Josh, but running the ball is a different animal. So,
all right,
man. Nice, good picks. Happy New Year once again. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.